Can we hear me? There we go. We have audio now. Good morning, Mr. Wabbit. How are you? I'm just trying a couple things out, making sure we're all good here, and then we'll get going. All right, guys. I'm trying out a couple new things here, mainly in OBS and my streaming setup, to hopefully make these kind of things a little bit easier and to have a little more fun, a little more talking ahead, if you will. But we'll get right into this today and get some music going, and feel free to have some conversations here this time, and we'll see how it goes. Thank you. All right, good morning, Yamchi86. Good to see you this morning. Looks like you're my lone member today, but that's okay. Today was more of a stream test than anything else for some more of this OBS setup I have. So if you have any questions, let me know. Good to see you here. Good morning. And yeah, Yamchi, very many lights. My Euro rack system is probably slightly overbuilt, and the instrument, of course, is full of lights. So I think I did want to kind of go over the patches and the setups. I do have Bitwig, and in Bitwig, I have these tracks here, two plucks left and right, a bass, a drone, a guitar, a VST called Generate, and my wind synth. So overall, everything but Generate is done in the rack. So in this case, pluck left and right are two instances of braids, and the bass is from my SV1 from Pittsburgh Modular. The drone is primarily from the 4MS Ensemble oscillator, going through the Bastille Icary filter and a bunch of Starlab Strymon reverb on there. The guitar actually is also a VST. It is from Piano Tech through Guitar Rig. And then Generate is the VST called Generate. And this hardware CV instrument is actually taking an output from my ES9 for pitch. And it's going into a Nurad Numar system for the wind synth, which sounds like this. And so how this is working is I have this tube here which goes into a breath system so that I can actually play breath, and I just blow on it in my mouth. And then the instrument itself is sending pitch data through Bitwig, which is putting out pitch data to the ES9, which is going to the module. So I guess I'll kind of zoom in on each of these modules as well, and we can see that. All right, we got it in focus now. So the plucks are from these two instances of braids here. And if we play it, we actually already have it up. So these modules are outputting right into a low pass gate. That low pass gate is getting plucked from some Liveform microsequencers. Which behind the spaghetti here is running little patterns that I can kind of adjust as we go. And again, that's feeding this low pass gate, which is up here right next to it. And those feed into my ES9 over here, which will feed right into the audio where I'm doing the effects with it. So those are the plucks. Like I said, after that we have the bass. And the bass is coming from my SV1. Which I guess I can zoom in and show you as well. And it's just a basic patch with a little bit of sine and sub going into a low pass filter with a little bit of resonance, and again coming down in here into my ES9. One thing to note is that it is being sequenced by my Metropolis here, which is doing just a very, very basic sequence here for some bass notes on there. Another thing to note is all three of these sequencers, the two micro sequencers and Metropolis, are going through the Symphonian, which is just putting it into C minor. That C minor is not changing any chords. You know, one of the major selling points of the Symphonian is that you can change chord scales as you go, but it's just sticking here and being basically a multi-channel quantizer for me for those three channels. Hey, morning, Raider Rich. Good to see you. When we get into the drone itself, is from the 4MS Ensemble Oscillator, and the 4MS Ensemble Oscillator is coming from here and going into the Icary stereo filter. That stereo filter is doing a lot of work here to give it some grunginess and all that, and that is fed into my Liveforms mixer, which is putting a bunch of reverb delay in from the Starlab, which kind of gives it that huge wash, and then it finally gets down into, again, the ES9 into Bitwig. As far as modulations go on the 4MS Ensemble Oscillator, it's a drone machine, like when you actually get down to it, but today I only have modulations, I believe, on the cross mod and warp circuits, but it's kind of really good. Yeah, Raider Rich, sorry if the wobbly cam is super wobbly here. I'm just holding the phone. We'll go back to the fixed cam here. All right, so from those things, like I said, we have the 4MS Ensemble Oscillator doing drone duty. We have low pass gates from the Plux. And then we have a kind of a smattering of lead options, mainly here from my Newmar and Generate and Guitar. Oh, actually, I didn't show you guys. We're gonna go back to the wobbly cam real fast. Up here is my Newmar, which is a Berglund Instruments wind synth module, which is just taking pitch and breath and outputting what we hear here. That goes through a tuner, which I have up here. And yes, Splarf is here, much to the joy of my wife, who absolutely detests this module. Goes to the tuner, and the tuner just comes down into a multi-band EQ down here, and that EQ goes out to ES9. Hey, morning, Mr. Wabbit. But I think that pretty much covers what we have here. Hey, morning, Anna. I was telling people here, mainly what we're doing here is testing out the new OBS setup and all of this. But have some nice plucks, a bass line, and some leads going. I was playing a little bit earlier, but I can probably get into it a little bit more. If you guys have questions though on the setup, I can go in my super wobbly cam and zoom in on something in particular if you want. And again, here in Bitwig, you can see I have my two plucks coming in left and right, my bass, the drone from 4MS, the guitar, generate, and my wind synth here. And yeah, Mr. Webbit, that's perfectly okay. If you came in late, you can rewatch if you want. Like I said, it's mainly just a test today, kind of testing out some of my cool transitions and stuff that I added here for, you know, moving the webcam around and my mute setups, as well as my little effects that I added to things. If you guys are also interested, I can kind of go over my Stream Deck setups. I think that's really interesting as well. Yeah, so Mr. Wabbit, the microphone I'm using is actually just plugged right into the rack. I have a boom mic into my Bifaco instrument interface, which seems to work really well for both guitars and for this microphone. And as far as cameras go, I have 3 cameras currently. Of the 3 cameras, I have the one behind me as the overview. I have my close-up super wobbly cam, as Raider Rich pointed out, and I have this webcam one. The webcam is a new addition because I wanted that third selfie image. That is kind of a cheaper Logitech Brio. It outputs 1080, seems to do fine in kind of this lower light, so that's really good. Hey, morning, Alcadroid. So the webcam edition was super nice to have that extra angle here. My 2 cameras, the wobbly cam and the one behind me, are both cell phones. In this case, Pixel 6 Pro and a Pixel 6. I literally bought an extra Pixel 6 as, quote, a backup phone, but also just as the camera because quite honestly, it was cheaper than buying a decent camera, and cameras that are decent enough for this kind of stuff are actually fairly expensive. So the 2 cell phone cameras work great. If I really needed to, also I could pull in one of my children's phones or my wife's phone and have an extra angle there as well. But I think the three angles do really well, especially when I go super wobbly cam to zoom in on the rack. I think I could probably get the lighting a little different, but yeah, I'm sorry, I'm digressing here. Microphone, cameras, and then as far as OBS and Stream Deck. OBS and Stream Deck, I am running 2 computers. One is just my music setup and one is my streaming computer. The streaming computer is catching HDMI from the music computer, which is where I can pull up this view. And it's kind of nice because I can kind of do some fancy stuff here as well, like zoom in. And then if I want to like highlight something, like, hey guys, I'm talking about the effects right here, you know, I can easily highlight those now as well, which I think can be super useful for explaining patches and how-to videos and all that kind of stuff, especially since when zoomed out like this, it's kind of hard to read what's going on. And then as far as OBS goes, my other computer is obviously running the OBS setup, in which case I have a Stream Deck and multiple scenes set up that I'm switching between, and I think I can show you those. Let me pull that up. All right, so we're switched over here. On my Stream Deck, I have all of my top buttons kind of as a hotbar. So I can go into Bitwig here and I can change tracks, I can change scenes, I can mute and solo and turn my metronome on and off. Mainly in my situation, it's the metronome and the scene changes depending on what kind of stuff I'm doing that I'll use more often. Here on the stream page, I can view basically my stream statistics, make sure I'm not like rendering out anything, view my CPU load, and my current subscriber count, current live people, you know, I'm recording and streaming, yada yada, all the basic stuff. In scenes, I can change scenes in here. In this case, I have a waiting and credits and 3 main views, all right? And down below, I have a button to mute, which is right here. And then I have a button for bringing up my big camera here, and I also have a lower third which I can bring in here, and when I go into overlay I can change my lower third again on and off and change through some of these lower thirds that I'm going to set up. So I didn't set up any lower thirds for today, but you know, just for future uses in the group jam, I think it'll be super useful. The logo for the Golem Free Collective, and I also have the spectrum I can bring in the bottom, which is cool, but I'm not sure if it detracts away from what I'm doing. Am I limited by the 15 buttons? I do kind of wish that I had the XL, but honestly with this setup where I have the toggles on top, I don't feel super limited, and I think with folders and other pages I can get around on that. But I would kind of enjoy having more buttons, but it's definitely not super limiting. Back here to the overlay, I also have a glitch effect, which I can turn on the camera on and off. But what this is mainly going to be used for is for transitions. So when I'm in my main scene and I go to bring my camera full screen, it has that nice little glitched transition kind of thing going there, which I think is super nice looking. All right, and my last page here are sources, and the sources doesn't actually change your scene that you are on, but it allows you to change things of the scenes. So when I go to like audio here, I can turn my main audio on and off, right? Or change it over to my NDI source. In my tertiary view, like I have right now, basically my view 3, I have my HDMI in and the webcam, and this is mainly so I can do quick setups on each of my 3 views. So in this case, my 3 views, I have primary, which is just the phone kind of close in. I have my secondary view, which has all 3, the webcam, the wobbly cam, and my overview shot. And the tertiary right now is set up with the HDMI in. All right, so in sources now, tertiary here, I can also like pull up, like for instance, turn off HDMI and turn on my video. So these video sources here will be the ones for the group jam when they come in later. Which is super cool. My background, I can do some fancy stuff here, like take my title on and off the top and turn my background on and off, and the HDMI and NDI outputs are making it so I can hook up my video synths and have my video synth actually run in the background, which is super cool. And this little button here off to the side, the title update, my title on the top here of my screen, this one, it auto updates the date because I kept forgetting to update it last January. So because of that, if I just click this one button here, it'll update everything and it'll be good. I can also just change the title real fast in there, so that's super useful. And I think that kind of covers my Stream Deck here. I've been super happy with it, and yeah, especially in Bitwig here, you can do all sorts of fancy stuff. You know, from launching clips to recording and yada yada yada. For me though, I think that this kind of minimalist one, which is like changing scenes and tracks and solo mute and stop track just here, is kind of super useful, and I wouldn't go more than that. All right, I think that covers Stream Deck. Mr. Wabbit, I think that you will be very happy with it, especially since it's kind of super fun. So it's one thing maybe worth talking about is MPE and the instrument. So on Bitwig itself, it handles MPE very nicely, but you gotta kind of be careful about how you set it up. So for instance, I have a couple different things that are MPE compatible in here. Technically all 3 of these tracks are. When you set them up and we go here and we select it, by default, it takes all the channels and puts it to channel 1 when you make a new instrument track. And when you're doing MPE, that completely just breaks MPE because it all gets compressed down to 1 channel. So if you're not quite sure if you're setting up an MPE controller and with Bitwig and it's just being a little funky, changing this to from all to same really helps out. And then of course, in the actual track itself, when you select the actual plugin and you come over here to the side, you have to say use MPE here, and the pitch bend range. So in this case, the pitch bend range is set by the instrument to be 48 semitones and makes it so you can do those huge glissandos and all that kind of stuff, but it has more than enough resolution to have super fine control on a couple semitones as well. But those 2 things, selecting MPE on the plugin itself and setting the right pitch bend range, and then making sure that the MIDI channels are not defaulted to compressing all MIDI channels into 1, and that really helps. And then as far as the instrument goes, I currently have it set up as a split again. And I have a key map up here where I can turn the guitar on. So I just press this button up here and now I have guitar. And again, even though we have 48 semitones of pitch bend range on each individual note, you know, it sounds really nice. And the split here, again, has 2 things. I have the guitar on one side or my wind controller, and then on the other side I have the generate. Oh, actually, if you guys haven't seen Generate, it's this lovely plugin here from Newfangled Audio, and it is also a great MPE controller, and you can set up some really nice patches. Like I said, I really enjoy how this one sounds. And you can kind of see how the pressure is matched here on the low pass gate and how it kind of affects things. Looks super nice, I think. And then as far as effects go on Bitwig itself, my plucks just have a dotted eighth delay into reverb, so pretty easy. Again, just dotted eighth, just the Bitwig normal one into a convolution reverb. And that's for both left and right plucks. The bass, I'm actually just running through Guitar Rig. And in Guitar Rig, I'm in Dirty Studio Bass here, which is just adds a little bit of grunginess or whatever to it, and kind of helps out. The drone actually has nothing on it. This is literally just a tuner, which is my Snail tuner, which I think most of you have seen already, which I super enjoy and highly recommend for anything that has complex structure, because you can really see how well the tuning is. All right, guitar has a note transposition, Piano Tech, Guitar Rig into Supermassive Valhalla. Piano Tech actually has a wonderful guitar simulation here for acoustic guitar. When you turn off Guitar Rig, which I think just sounds really good. And in Guitar Rig itself, just for my normal one here, I am running the AD Medieval Melodies patch here. Which I think has just enough crunch and clarity to it, which fits in nice. The generate patch is literally all internal to generate. Which is mainly just a delay and a reverb, but honestly it sounds really good. And my WinSynth itself is again just taking out CV out and gate out and putting it into my Newmar module and outputting voltage. That goes out the ES9 and goes into a Air Delay Pro from Akai. This is actually just a really nice delay that I've enjoyed over the years. Highly recommend you check it out from the MPC if you haven't yet, but it's really good. And again, another convolution reverb at the end. And yeah, Raider Rich, having the HDMI capture from the other machine is super useful, I think. I think it's kind of where I want it overall. All right, if you guys have any other questions, I can answer them now. Again, this is kind of more of a final test into kind of the setup and if I can even do morning streams. I wanted to keep it about an hour, so I'll have about another 10 minutes here and then I'll probably get off. But yeah, maybe next Monday I can do a patch from scratch or something like that. I just spent an hour last night kind of setting up the plugs and the bass line and all that last night. So, nothing crazy. It's kind of my standard stuff that I do in my rack kind of more often. But yeah. Oh, Anna mentioned HDMI is the way forward. I just want to comment. I had been using NDI to pass audio and video. And I was really happy, except for in longer duration streams that were like an hour long, I'd have intermittent cutouts. which was like super unfortunate. So like the quality was there, the latency was there, and it was great. However, just every once in a while I'd have hiccups, and maybe that's my router or maybe not. I don't know. My main computers were tied in with Ethernet, so I can't see it being like a Wi-Fi issue, but it was just irritating enough that the NDI was causing issues for me. NDI on the same machine, like when I turn on my Nest visualizer and that kind of stuff, seemed to work really well, but NDI through the network on longer duration stuff was just irritating me enough that I did the raw HDMI. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring up was this plugin called Signalizer, which at this time is just showing a normal spectrum, which is, nothing super crazy. But it does have this wonderful XY plot tool, which can look super nice. And of course, oscilloscope that you can look at. I think most DAWs currently have something like this that you can look at, but yeah, it's a free one. Signalizer, Spectrum oscilloscope, and XY plot, which can probably be super useful for embedding in streams and that kind of stuff too. All right, and I think at this point here, I'll just play a little bit more and play it out. Anna mentions that she's found the cables far better than wireless, and yeah, even when I had Ethernet between two computers, it was still intermittent for me, and I'm not quite sure why. So I don't know. I really like NDI as a technology. It just wasn't really working for me. So wire all the things. The cameras actually, the overview and the other camera are actually all Wi-Fi right now. So the OBS Droid cam capture has been being solid, and that's not quite NDI, but it's putting out 1080 over Wi-Fi, which seems to be working really well. All right, I'll kind of bring it down now. Just have the drone here and go for it. Oh, and one more question. Go ahead. And as far as how I reach the modules at the top, I'm tall, so that helps. But the other thing is that I can stand a lot of the times when I'm patching and everything is reachable. So from a standing position, you can easily see the top 2 rows of the rack and get everything you need. And it kind of helps when patching because, I don't know, sitting down for long times is also kind of irritating. One thing that you guys can't really see in the camera also is I have my Micro Monster over to the side. So with the Micro Monster over here to the side, I also have a little switch here, which is able to switch between my ES9, a Q output, and the output from my OBS so I can manage here. My Micro Monster is also connected to the DAW so I can bring it in and out, and it goes to the ES9 for all the things for Polyphonic. I'm really a super fan of the Micro Monster 2. Been super happy with it. Another thing I get comments on quite often is this little spectrum analyzer here, which lives on my rack. He lives here and is just a nice kind of visual eye candy type of thing. And my rack down below isn't being used today. I call it my percussion rack. Has a lot of drums and soundstage. So anyway, we're almost at an hour here. So if you guys have anything else, now is the time. Otherwise, I think we'll pretty much call it here. Regrettably, as 1 hour are rookie numbers, I do have children and wife that are waking up now, so I'll get off. I think this time will work out in the future for Mondays. We'll just have to play it by ear because life might get in the way sometimes, but we'll see how it goes. All right, thanks guys. I'm gonna end it here.